one other person. That's it. So I think we're talking about two different things. This one's on Wednesday, May 11th. It starts at 10 p.m. Eastern time and 10 to 11, maybe 10 to 11 Eastern time. 10 to, 10, yeah, 10 to 11, I think. This looks like starts at 10 and runs to like an hour. That's it. Sorry, I don't want to interrupt anymore.
Sorry, folks, I've been muffling around here, and Diana, you're up. Diana, you have to unmute, or I can unmute you. Go ahead.
I was
Go
trying
ahead.
to, okay. I just want to throw something out for speculation. A problem that I had a few days ago that was driving me crazy. And see if anybody has any thoughts about what the cause might have been. I have a subscription for MLB for baseball, and I've had it for many years, and I've had the same password for many years. And the other day, I wanted to get everything lined up because the baseball season is starting, and there are some spring training games available. So I was logging in on my laptop, on my iPad, on my phone successfully, but I could not get logged in on my Apple TV to watch on the large screen television. And no matter what I did, including standing on my head, nothing worked. And I was just wondering, why would that happen? Why would the password and username identity work on one device and absolutely not on another device? Like I said, 3 out of 4 were okay, and the fourth one wouldn't take it. I finally did change the password on their their password change page. And then everything, well, at least the Apple TV worked. I haven't actually tried the other ones yet. But what would cause that? It was totally confounding. Anybody have any ideas?
I have a thought, Amy. It might be that the Apple TV app needed to be updated. If you hadn't used it
It's
in a
set
year
to
or
automatically
replaced,
update.
or
So
did they
I
have
don't
a
think
new app that they wanted you to use instead of the last year's?
I got no messages about that. And as I say, it's set, and I checked the settings, and it's supposed to
Yeah.
update automatically whenever an update is available. So that didn't seem to be the problem either.
They made a lot of changes this year in how the Major League Baseball games are distributed. A lot of them were run by the teams, and now they're all run by Major League Baseball. The Nats are that way, for example. So maybe that had something to do with it.
Maybe.
Diana, do you know how to go into settings on the Apple TV and go to system? And then you can tell it to update, even if it hasn't done it automatically.
Yeah, well, I mean, it looked like it had done that.
Well, if it has done it, it'll tell you there's nothing to update. But if there is an update, that might help.
Right.
Van, you're next. Go ahead.
Diana, this is an off-the-wall thought. Is there a restriction on your MLB subscription on how many devices you can use, either in total or at the same time?
No, I've never seen anything like that.
Okay, just a thought.
Yeah.
Well, you could try logging out of the one that does work before you try logging into the one that you're having problems logging in with and see if that makes a difference. Even though you haven't seen any messages to that effect. I don't know that. I don't have anything that hasn't already been mentioned either, except to say that much like a web browser, some web browsers will work fine with a given website, and other browsers will have problems with that site or won't work quite right. It
Yeah,
could
but
be,
in this case, though, what I'm working with, and I don't know whether this had anything to do with it, the Apple TV connection is through my television, of course, and I have Cox service, but it's an Amazon Fire TV, which was given to me by my kids a couple of years ago. And yeah, I didn't pick it myself. And I was wondering if there was some incompatibility with that, going from an Apple device into an Amazon device. But I've never had that problem before. I mean, the last few years, my subscription has worked just fine without anything special having to be done. Once I was paying, the annual fee at the beginning of March, everything worked. And this year it didn't seem to make a difference. So I don't know.
Diana, I have a question. You may have said this, but what happens when you try to log on the Apple TV to your account?
Nothing much, actually. I mean, the way I have to get in is on the Amazon Fire TV. I have to change the input
Right.
to
My
the Apple
my
TV,
question
but
is,
the Apple TV, I don't have to do anything. I just, get
my
it
question
started.
is, do you get an error message? Does it say wrong password? Do you
No,
get
well, yeah,
what happens when you try to make that connection?
yeah. When I was logging in on the Apple TV, no, to the MLB subscription, I had to log in, and it refused the password.
hmm.
And as I say, it took the password on the other devices, no problem.
Are you entering the password manually or using a saved
Well,
password?
that was another confusing thing. The first option it gave me was connect with your app through your Apple device. But when I went to the phone and looked for a link from there and clicked on it, it didn't seem to work. It was
What does
it was not able to
wait,
get
wait,
in. And when I
wait,
tried to
wait.
put the password in manually, it wouldn't take it either. So I tried both methods, and neither one would succeed on the Apple TV. And as I said, they were working fine on the other devices.
Are they all picking up the password? Well, you said on the Apple TV you're entering the password manually, and that didn't work. Are you sure that it's not when you start typing the password that it's not filling it in and perhaps getting a wrong password? I mean, one possibility would be to erase the account password from your passwords app and then start from scratch. So there's no possibility that it will fill in a wrong password for you.
Well, the passwords.
Thanks, Gabe. Let's quickly go to Aaron to see if he can solve this, and Alan Kent will then come to you.
Thanks, Jonathan. Hi, Diana. I was just wondering if you're, I'm sorry, I'm just a little confused. Are you trying to access baseball through the MLB app, or are you just watching Friday Night Baseball directly through the Apple TV app?
I'm going into the Apple TV where there's a button for the MLB subscription that I use every year, and I click on that, and then it takes me to a page where I'm supposed to. Well, it shows me part of the subscription. It shows me the thing for the ball game I'm interested in. But then when I click on that, it tells me I have to log in. And
Okay, so I just
presents me
wanted
with
to.
a login screen.
Okay, so it sounds like the issue is with the MLB app and not with your Apple TV.
Could be.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Again,
So,
why is it taking it? Why is it taking it on the other devices and not on the Apple TV?
Aaron,
Diana?
I think Alan Kent might he's really wants to add this. So Alan Kent, please go ahead.
Okay.
Excuse me, Aaron.
There's a workaround, and that's screen mirroring. Bring up the program that you want to watch on either your iPhone or your iPad. Go to the control center and click on the thing that looks like two TV screens, one on top of the other. And that's called screen mirroring. Select Apple TV, and then what you're watching should transfer from your iPhone or iPad where it's working to your television set through the Apple
Yeah.
TV.
You know, I was going to do that, and I started the process for that, and it seemed to be taking a while to get a connection. And in the meantime, I just kind of threw up my hands and said, okay, I'm going to just change the password, since that seems to be the hang up. So I changed the password, and then it worked. So I wound up not using the screen mirroring or not needing it. So, you know, in the end, it worked out, but I had to do that. And I never figured out the reason, any other reason for why it didn't work on the one device and it did on the others.
So I just want to point out that screen mirroring is a good workaround.
Right.
However, just be aware that the quality is not going to be as good using screen mirroring as if you're using a native app on the Apple TV.
Right.
So a lot of times if you're doing mirroring, you might, limit your quality to like 1080p instead of 4K. So, I would use screen mirroring as a workaround and not a permanent solution.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you for your thoughts. I've also wondered, on the iPad and on the iPhone, I guess I am using the MLB app. On the Apple TV, I don't know exactly what it is that's because as I say, there has always been the MLB box on the home screen for the Apple TV, and that's what I've always clicked on and then be able to, make the connection. And apparently that is a different piece of software from what I'm using on the iPhone or the iPad.
No, it's the
But I'm
same
not sure
thing.
how it compares with what I'm using on my laptop.
No, so on your laptop, you're probably using a web browser.
Yeah.
But on your iPad, iPhone, and Apple TV, you're using the native app. So based on what you're describing, it's almost certainly an issue with your login on the Apple TV app for MLB.TV. So what you might try, Diana, is just deleting the app and then reinstalling it. And I'll bet you that will clear out any, cookies that have, kind of messed with your password.
Yeah.
So just try that and let us know
That's
if that works. I would just delete the app from your Apple TV, reinstall it, and I'll bet you that will resolve your issue.
That probably would. Of course, changing the password hopefully will get me through this year.
Oh,
We'll see what happens next year.
Diana, just to be clear.
Bruce, we really are pressed for time. Do you have a short thing to add, Bruce?
Yes, I do. I want to ask Diana, just to be clear, this is a new problem. It used to work on your Apple TV, and then more recently it stopped working. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right. That may make a difference. It may not, but it's useful bit of information to know for troubleshooting. Okay, go ahead. Go back to Jonathan.
Yeah, folks, at this point, because we'll lose Amy in another hour or so. So let's move on to Amy's presentation, and let's come back to Apple TV issues after that. I would really like to welcome Amy Burk to our meeting, and I think it's unusual for a presenter that we invite to a meeting to look at our club and be so interested in it that she actually joins the club too. So thanks so much for that, Amy. And folks, I wanted to let you know that we are streaming this to our YouTube page, but link only. So for a limited amount of time after the meeting, until Amy tells me to quit it, the link that I'll send around in the recap to the meeting will let you tune into it on YouTube later. With that, I would like to turn it over to Amy Burk, TechWise, who has an interesting niche that would fit well, I think, with our Pi demographic. Folks, I will keynote Amy so that when she shares her stuff, you will all view it. So again, welcome Amy Burk to our meeting, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, everyone. Hi, I'm Amy. I love solving the technology problems. I could probably go on about the Apple TV stuff myself, but I wanted to share with you about my services and nerdiness. I have a business called TechWise Coaching. And I'm going to talk to you about becoming TechWise. A lot of you already are, but I just wanted to share because Jonathan asked me a while back, and let's just get you in slideshow mode. Can you give me a little thumbs up if you can see my
Yeah, it's good, Amy.
presentation? Okay. So I run a business called TechWise Coaching that I started a couple years ago, but a little bit about me. I went to the University of Michigan many decades ago, and have always worked in technology. Started at the computer lab there, helped the professors and students using, these old lovely machines. First email back in the 90s. Moved out here into the DC area, worked at a company called AOL for a while, taught clients how to use tools that we developed for like shopping and online wallets back in the late 90s. And then taught them how to integrate those tools into their sites. And I just felt this pull towards teaching adults how to use technology kind of all of my career. Moved on to work at Fairfax County Public Schools, teaching administrators and teachers how to use technology to run schools and teach. Received some awards from Google and Microsoft for my innovative ways of teaching. And then COVID came, ran a school essentially virtually, decided that I wanted to start my own business. And now I teach technology to adults in person mostly, which is unique because a lot of people do things virtually, which is fine. But I like that hands-on helping other people how to use technology, keep building their tech confidence as you guys do. It seems like every day, all day. So I'm happy to be part of this group. So what I do now is, for the last couple of years, I've had my own business. I teach in community centers, libraries, senior residences, and other areas in Northern Virginia, mostly, some of Montgomery County now. Group classes, and I also come to people's homes teaching them and helping them, like if it's an Apple TV problem, or if it's I want to declutter my digital life, if it's I just got all these new devices and I want them to sync, so I come and do hands-on help. So I have these keys that I tell people about. It's a lot on a tiny screen, but to become TechWise, that we have so many things that we can do, and it can be overwhelming. But the first key I tell people is you just don't need to know everything. Like, there's a team of people here that can help you. Some people get overwhelmed and just shut down because there's so much technology out there. They feel like they got to keep up with everything. But no, you can just focus on the things that help you. And as you're learning new technology, it's more important to be confident in what you're doing than click around and be fast in what you're doing. I tell people to kind of like count to 5 or 9 in their head before they touch something if they're feeling like they're not sure what they're supposed to do. And then if you're moving into a new technology, maybe don't do 4 different devices at the same time. Learn and be confident with one, because we have the tendency to have lots of different devices, and especially in this area. But sometimes, yeah, one won't work and one will, and they look different. I'm updating this one, but I'm not updating that one, and it gets overwhelming. So, um, and then a lot of people, as they come to my classes, mistakes are part of learning. We don't necessarily learn anything if we don't make a mistake first and learn from that. Um, there's a lot of people also that feel like they have to have lots of different devices. Sorry. Oh, yes, update, update, update. Keep everything updated. There was this sort of feeling back not too long ago where people think that updates are going to cause more problems than they solve, but really they're there to keep you safe. Fill in the holes, the leaks, and other things that are causing issues on your devices and or vulnerabilities to you. So keeping updates are important always. And really, the technology should fit into your life. There's a lot of us that have come from high level jobs and other places that you use technology all over the place and you feel like you should know everything about all this stuff, but you don't need to have all a device in every room, or you don't have to have an Apple Watch if it's not something that's going to work for you. Do use the technology that really fits into your life. If it's adding stress, then maybe it's not something that you need. I see some of my clients who feel like they just have to keep up with email and they have to have constantly like the notifications going, and sometimes that builds more anxiety than helps you. So life's short. Don't spend too much on your tech. Security, I have a whole lesson just about cybersecurity, and I know that you guys do a lot about that as well, but it's a habit that we have to keep, especially in this day and age, keep ourselves safe by keeping our devices safe, keeping our information to ourselves as much as we can, and understanding that there's privacy settings that we can control. There are some things that we can't, but we can do our best. And then there's a lot of people that don't realize there's so many tools in our devices that give us the opportunity to see better, hear better, touch our devices better. Everyone learns differently. Everyone is different. People seem to have some people have they just don't even want to touch the accessibility settings because they feel like it's sort of a cheating. They should be able to do all this stuff without that. Well, I've got glasses. I've got things. I changed the settings so that I can see things. And there are, Tim Cook essentially spends a lot of his effort to make these devices. He wants them to be accessible for all, but there's no reason to struggle to squint and see, or if you touch something and it's not reacting or it's reacting too fast, there's a lot of tools that we can use to make our devices work best for us. Oops, wrong way. So, I can use this one myself every day. Organization reduces stress. There's a lot of time I spend with people decluttering. They've literally got 180,000 unread emails that they see that number, and it's just like some buried in there is important tax information or long lost friends, and mostly spam. So if we can get a handle on eliminating the clutter and keeping it organized, then technology can work for us. So I do help a lot of people kind of come up with systems to make their life easier. We keep learning. Step number, I don't remember. 10, we never stop learning. We know this because that's why we're here. Keep practicing. Also, when I meet with people and have classes, I give handouts and other old school things, but if you don't practice what you are actually learning immediately, we might not retain it. So keep practicing with a purpose, And if you are the type that likes to see and go into the settings and you're having, you want to adjust how you see things or how it touches, change one thing at a time, because changing too many things at once, it might be difficult to undo those things. Sorry. Using the built-in help. Yes, we're here to help each other. I'm here to help my clients. But there's so many great tools that are built into so many of our devices. The Tips app on all the Apple devices really is actually pretty helpful. So use those tools that are there for you. There's never a dumb question. Only those that are not asked are dumb questions. People apologize all the time. I'm sorry, I have this question. Don't ever have to apologize, because how would you know these things if you didn't ask? And you're probably not the only one with that same question. And knowing when to ask for help. And you try all the things, and this is a perfect group to come to. You've tried 7 different things to get on your Apple TV, or you've done all the other things. Go to your trusted sources to find help if you need it. So these are some keys to becoming TechWise. I know it's a lot and I'm kind of going through it quickly, but it's just, I put this together because over the years of helping people realize, like, people think, well, I can't learn this because I didn't learn it when I was working, or I can't ask this question because I probably is the only one who have this question. I don't want to feel dumb. Well, everyone, when we go through these lists of things, like if we could just follow 1 or 2 of these steps, you'll feel more confident with your tools and technology and realize that you are quite tech wise in itself. So really my goal is to help people feel more tech confident, more independent in the devices. If there's a lot of my clients who have, kids who try to help them all the time with their technology, and who might hit a level of frustration because they don't have the time, or they're helping their own kids with their school technology. So feeling more independent, and just keep learning practical tips to keep your stress down and your tech accessible to your lives. So what I wanted to do, I have in general about 30 different lessons I go through, and I'm constantly updating them because technology is changing all the time. But from getting comfortable with your smartphones to AI, and I know you guys had just had or are coming up on having more AI things, to using your Apple Watch, lots of different topics. So what I have coming up is just like 10 tips that hit a lot of those different sessions that I usually do. And when I do this, I usually am in a classroom and going around and helping people. So I know I'm just sort of talking to the void right now, but if you have questions or have a question, please raise your hand. And I see that Mark has his hand raised.
Amy, Mark, can I interrupt for just a second?
Yeah.
Amy, our Pi members are famous in meetings like this to be trying things on their devices while they're watching the meeting. So
Okay.
folks, by all means do that and report back.
Good. Yes. So I'm going to do this in a way that, some of these things you may know already, and I know we have different skill levels and experiences in this room. And as I teach and get to know people, I usually know their needs and such. But one of the best things that I tell people was, if something's going wrong, take a screenshot and send it to me, or bring it up in the next class. Screenshots can be done on any device. That means taking a picture of what you see. If it's a phone or a tablet, it usually means pressing the volume up and power at the same time. On computers, there's Macs, there's the screenshot tool, there's PCs, there's the snipping tool. So taking a picture of what you see, whether it's something to help you remember for the future, or to bring it up in a class. Taking a screenshot on a phone, you have typically pressing these two buttons with the arrows. If you have an older phone with the home button, you press that and the side button. On a Google phone, it's usually pressing the two buttons on the same side, but it kind of changes depending on the phone you have. And then when you take a screenshot, they end up in a folder just for, let me move this out of the way, sorry. A screenshot folder in your photo album, photo library. And I see some people with hands raised, so I'm gonna.
Let's go to Mark and then Ginger. Go ahead, Mark.
So you mentioned the tons of unread emails. I'm still using the Apple Mail app, which has got limitations, and then I end up skimming through opening the ones that I need to look at. And there's a lot of ones that I can look at these later. I don't need to look at them right now, but I don't know that I want to delete them, or we don't want to spend the time right now to figure out if I want to delete them. But there isn't a quick way that I know of to take all the unread messages and put them in an archive folder or something, in a batch in one command by dragging them one at a time in the Apple Mail app. The other mail tools may have that, and maybe I'm using the wrong tool, but I wanted to get your input on that.
Yeah, I use the Mail app, and I agree that there are some limitations. But you can, let's say you wanted to move all the ones from this group into a folder. You could create a folder on the side. There's like a little plus. Create that folder and then search. And then the search, I don't know. I guess
Can I
I
move
could
all
demonstrate.
move unread messages through the folder? Is there?
Yep, and you can move them all at once. You could select all, like let's say you search for apple pie or and then select all is control A.
Some way to group them that you can't just
Sorry.
you can't just bulk transfer all the unread messages into a to be reviewed later
You could,
folder.
depending on your mail, you could set up some rules. You could, yeah, select all is control A.
Right, but I
And
don't want to move everything. I want to move the ones that I haven't looked at. The ones I'm going to look at later. So yeah, so
you could
I didn't.
filter, yeah, you could filter for unread mail.
Okay,
Yeah,
over it.
and then
And
move them.
then just move what shows up. And you can
Yeah.
use that to try. Okay, I'll try that. Thank you.
Oh,
Yeah,
Amy,
I got 4,000 messages in my
That's
inbox.
not bad. I've seen a lot worse. 4,000
Amy,
isn't bad.
Amy,
Yeah.
could I tell one quick story?
Sure.
Yeah, it was many years ago that our daughter went to a large public high school in Silver Spring, and we dutifully joined the PTSA list, which generated 100 emails a day. And that was how I learned to filter email. So the great thing about mailing lists is that they have in the subject the name of the list. And it's easy to set up a filter or a smart mailbox that puts all of the list messages like this into a dedicated mail folder so they don't clutter up your inbox.
Yeah. I'm the type of person I don't like to have the cluttered inboxes, but some people can manage it. But yeah, smart mailboxes are good. You could search and filter by subject, by person, by whatever. But ultimately, yeah, you don't want it bogging down your life. If you do feel like you're the type of person that has a lot of email and it overwhelms you, just spend 10 minutes a day unsubscribing, deleting, organizing, and move on to the next day. Don't spend your whole day cleaning out your email because life's too short. But yeah, there's things we can do. I see a question from David.
Hi, Amy. Dave Bruger. I've done pretty much or pretty well with Apple since I've been using it since '84. And I can usually either figure out myself or I can get a young teenager who can do it very quickly for what I need, or I go to the geniuses at the Apple store. But I ran into something this week, and it has to do with privacy and protection of accounts. And I believe I actually need someone to come in and look at what I'm doing uh, with the finances. Uh,
Hmm.
I've my I've used PNC Bank and the credit part of that, where I have multiple credit cards, and uh, I do a lot of auto deductions from accounts because a lot of what I do is the same thing every month.
Yeah.
And uh, they had to essentially stop all actions through the bank account and credit cards because they said that someone was impersonating me. And they seem to know everything about me, all my
Huh.
accounts, the numbers, not the passwords, because I use one password, and that they didn't have that. But that
Coffee, but I'm on an event. I just wanted to swoop in, get my coffee heated and leave. I don't
Um,
know.
so
okay.
Jonathan, can
And
you help with muting some? Um, so David,
yes.
so
And
the
what they
bank is
did was
helping
I
you?
had to spend a half a day at the bank working with the fraud department and so on to try and clear this up. And I really need to know, is there a way to protect my information and so on that I haven't thought of, that I don't know about? Am I doing something online that is putting me at risk? Uh, I don't know what the answer is now. I'm
Yeah,
not.
I can list a handful of things, but I'd have to know more to really understand. I mean, is your device able
Can you
to
cut
run
that
the
noise?
latest
I'm
operating?
listening.
I'm sorry, someone else was talking there.
Yeah. Is Gabriel, can you mute maybe? Is it Gabriel?
I
Yeah,
couldn't I
he's
couldn't hear
muted
you,
now. Go ahead.
Amy.
Um, so are you using a Mac that's can run the latest operating system, and are
Yeah, I
you
have a
keeping it up
brand
to
new one
date?
I bought probably, well, last November, and it's
And you're
a MacBook Pro.
and you're running the operating system Tahoe or 26?
Yes, I've got Tahoe, and
Yeah,
I update every time there is one. I have an auto update, and I go in and check just to make sure.
right. Are you using different passwords for everything?
Everything has its own password because that's what the value for me is of having one password.
And do you have two-factor authentication, like which means like the codes that get sent to you
Yes,
when someone,
I do it when it's offered.
yeah. And do you know, there could be some sort of malware on some device or was at one point. Um,
Well,
you run
I
any?
use Malware Bytes, and I
Yeah,
have their ultimate so that they're, not only trying to
yeah.
wipe me off of other websites that sell data, but uh, they're
So,
scanning your computer on a fairly regular
right.
basis.
And this is through PNC only, they found this out for you?
Yes.
I mean, it could be you gave your credit card at a restaurant and someone then figured out, some information about you and started a chain, and it could have been a physical in-person transaction that led to this. Like, that's kind of hard to tell without more information.
Well, they
What
changed all my numbers, even on my checking account at the bank, and they all have their own passwords. So, and when I use PayPal, I've had probably more phishing through them, but they've been pretty good that I just send them a note and tell them this is not legit, and they simply discard it. So I haven't had that problem with them.
I mean, is another.
David, excuse me,
Yeah.
Amy, I'm so sorry.
That's
David,
okay.
could we, what I would suggest is let's let Amy move on to some other things. But I will certainly after the meeting send you a couple of suggestions that, that I've got with this, and Amy can engage, and you might be her first Pi customer. Who knows?
Well,
Yeah.
I'd like to get somebody else's eyes on what I'm doing. And
Yeah.
I use this and I use a new phone. I'm always updating equipment. Okay. I do not use a watch.
Yeah. It's scary because, yeah, you don't know where this came from, and I get it. I would love to help more. I mean, one other level of protection would be to always put a freeze on your credit. Like
I
everyone
have
should just
freezes
have,
on all my
yeah,
credit.
everyone should just have it that way anyway. So if it's just
Well,
impacting
I
one
don't use
account, that's,
credits actually,
yeah.
so it doesn't.
But someone else might on your own, try to open up credit in your name. So yeah, let's if well towards the end I'll share my information how we can contact
Okay.
and get see if I can
Yeah, I'd
help you.
appreciate that.
Yeah. So I'm going to go through a few more, like just maybe you know this already, maybe you don't. Switching subjects is everyone as we age can't see little things so much. You can also use your phone as a magnifying glass. If you knew this already, if you raise your hand or give me a little symbol in but if you did not, you can essentially read those menus in the dark, or you can read your medicine bottles like I do with my iPhone magnifying app. If you go to your app library on your phone, swipe all the way to the right. If you don't see it on any of your screens, if you have a Google phone, the magnifier kind of looks like this. And once you open it up, it works essentially through your camera and allows you to zoom in and see in real life something bigger. Other important things that are part of your devices, especially in the Apple phones, I feel like they do them better. You can set up a medical ID, which essentially is much information as you want to share. But if you set up a medical ID in your health app of your phone, let's just say what medications you're on, what you're allergic to, anything that you want to share, your height, your weight, emergency contacts. That information, if hopefully you wouldn't have to, but if someone had to call 911, wait, I don't want to have my device say actually do that. Hold on. Then that information that you put in your medical ID is sent to the emergency responders so that they can, before they even come to your door, know more information about you and provide you with that care. Your phones, your watches, your any mobile device you're carrying with you can have that emergency contact information. People used to wear bracelets and they still do, but having it in your phone, you can have more details. On the phone, the medical ID can be found in the health app. This is on the iPhone. If you open up the health app, there is, you usually come to the summary page. In the upper right is where your account is, or your health information. So you would click on the little avatar that shows up there. And then from there, you open up your page and fill out the medical ID. I don't have mine projected here, but essentially you can have your information on your blood type, your allergies, your emergency contacts. I think it's vital information to share with people or so that you, in an emergency, all that information is sitting there for you. We could spend a whole hour just on the health app, and which I do, on ways that we can, keep track of our health and share information with doctors and family. But for those of us that wear watches, it tracks a little bit more than just holding the phone. But in an emergency, having that medical ID is pretty handy. And also, even for other people, let's say you're with someone, they trip and fall, and you have to call emergency services to help them on someone's phone. If you tap on your phone now, but don't let Face ID open it up, and it's asking for the password. You may not notice this already, but there is an emergency button in the lower left. You can open up anyone's phone, get to that emergency button, and then see their medical ID. So you could get to, all their family members and emergency contacts. But we practice that in classes together.
Related to that, can I say a comment related to that? I know.
Sorry, you're breaking up.
Sorry. The Apple Watch, as a feature, if you can set it up so if you fall, and it will give you start a timer, and it'll automatically call emergency services and send a text to your emergency contact list automatically. Which I don't think you can do. I don't know if the iPhone will do that. The watch does that. So for
it's
older people,
the fall detection.
I think that's unique to the Apple Watch. So the people that don't want to use the watch, it's got a lot of features in it that are just good for health monitoring, like heart rate monitoring and stuff like that. But if you don't use it for any other features, it's got a lot of valuable health features built into it.
Thanks, Mark.
Fall detection is pretty, handy. A lot of people wear the watches just for some peace of mind, that, my heart's doing fine. Or, if you do fall and you don't press a button on it right away, it will call emergency services and notify everyone on the emergency contact list immediately. So, okay, sorry, I'm switching subjects. But to David's point earlier, we don't know where some of these things happen, where we get our data shared or our information is on the dark web or something was compromised. And but my 3 rules of online safety, if you did not initiate something that was sent to you by phone call, by text, by email, by pop-up, don't trust it, don't respond to it, do delete it. Just 3 steps. Just sadly, we live in a world where we just can't trust. So if things are coming at you like a spam or a pop-up saying that you have won this prize, or your, niece is stuck in a country and the other side of the world needs money. If you have, some sort of emotion, sadly, if you feel something, it's not real. These scams are trying to elicit a response from you by feeding on your fears or some sort of psychological stress. But if you feel that I have to respond immediately feeling, or something is wrong feeling, just don't trust it. Do not respond and do delete it. And just if you feel like it's related to someone that contact them in a different way and make sure that they're okay. But these scams really try to pull at your heartstrings and get you stressed out on purpose. But most of the time, just delete it and you can move on with your life. Tip number 5. We're switching around a lot, but
on the spam.
Mark, can we just let Amy? I'm sorry, Mark. Can we just let Amy make a little more progress in her talk And then please
Yeah,
come
I
back with your
have,
question later, okay?
yeah, I have like 10 kind of random tips, but they kind of just give you a piece of all the things that we could work on together. But yeah, and I can save some time at the end for some more questions, I hope. But one of the other tips and things that I've seen is a lot of people leave their devices on all night long, and then they get interrupted sleep because things are dinging at them, or spam messages are calling them or whatever, and it's causing them to have horrible sleep, which is bad for our health in general. And there's tools in our devices that basically silence them, called focus mode or do not disturb. We can set them up so that we have a daily sleep schedule. Everything turns off at a certain time every day and turns back on. I mean, not turned off, just silent. It's still on. And so that it helps manage your distractions during your sleep. You can do it during appointments. You could set it up so that just when I leave a place, then the phone will go, all the notifications will come back on. You could, just turn it off for meetings, turn it off for, if you're playing bridge, whatever it is that you're doing, just manage those distractions of constant, those text messages or notifications that your Amazon package was delivered or whatever it is. Those things can wait. Life, doesn't have to be interrupted by technology so much. You could use what's called focus mode on your phone. In our settings of the Apple phone, if you can see me too, but if you swipe from the upper right corner down across, I'm upside down and backwards, and you pull this up, it's called the control panel. That control panel, can do a lot of different things if you use it or not. Can teach you how, but in the middle of the control panel is typically something called focus. And we can set different focus levels for sleep, when you're driving, if you're taking some time to, be mindful, or you're working out, basically have your phone go silent. And it doesn't mean that you're going to miss those messages. It doesn't mean that you're going to, the phone's going to be off. But what I see more is that people turn the switch on the side of their phone to turn off the sound for a moment or for a meeting or going to a show or whatever, but then they forget to turn it back on. When you use the settings that are built into your phone and focus, you can have the phone remember for you to turn the ringer back on, turn the notifications back on for you automatically. Because, you don't want to forget that your phone's on mute and you have expecting a phone call. If you are concerned about missing certain phone calls when your phone is in like sleep mode or such, you could set it up so that if, let's say, my husband called and during when my phone is in focus mode, those calls would all automatically go through, or my son, or whatever it would be. You can indicate certain people. If you hear from them during these focus mode settings, or focus mode, then those calls would go through. You wouldn't miss them. But I would suggest taking a few moments to understand that those tools work for you. If you set up focus mode on your watch or your computer or your phone, and they're all signed in to the same Apple ID, they kind of affect each other. So if you have your one device and you put that on focus mode, it would mute the other stuff too. There's so some people accidentally leave themselves on focus mode, where you see this purple moon. So anyway, there's some things I can teach you about how to use that. Switching completely subjects again to tip number 6. You're gonna, did you have a lesson already on AI? But AI is here. It's already on our phones. We can, use it in ways that are helpful for us. We can have some concerns about what AI is doing for us because we didn't necessarily give it permission to use predict information for us or scan all of our emails to summarize them for us. AI is out there. We're in a kind of a new frontier with little regulation on it. As you're paying attention in the news, I'm sure, understanding that AI in general is there to help us understand or some information, hopefully correctly, and also be more productive or do some tasks that are so we can focus on using our brains for less or more detailed information or learning. But AI right now is in a place where they want to train the models, they're called. They're by using all the data that we're plugging into the internet, into our devices to train these, if it's Gemini, which is Google's, or Anthropic, or ChatGPT, or Grok, or there are so many now. They want to train all of these machines to understand how humans think and learn, and the data and the facts and the fiction. But we can turn some of those settings off. But AI does help us in ways like helping us sort our pictures and helping us predict some text, and make lists and make travel plans. But because we are in this sort of new frontier, when new apps are updated and new information is AI driven on these apps, I'm asking everyone to kind of always go through the settings on every app and just turn off learn from me or learn from this app, or allow AI to use my data for teaching the models. Like these are all kind of take my information of what I just told Siri or what I told Google and teach the machines for it. They can learn from other people. So if you spend some time in like Google, you can't turn off things too much, but like in ChatGPT, you could go into the settings and turn off, or teach models with my information. I forget how they word it, but until we get some governmental regulations on any of this, it's best just not to put personal information into the tools. If you don't like how, when you search in Google or whatever search engine you're using, the first thing that comes up usually is like a AI overview. If you don't like that, you can do your search and then add the word or the term -AI right after it, and then it will turn off that overview. But you're going to learn a lot more about AI, but it's here to stay. So we talked a little bit when David brought up his banking situation earlier. This is another tip. There is an age limit on banking safely, and what I mean by that is your devices, if they're really old, don't use them for banking. If they cannot run the latest operating system, or there's actually a list you can find online, but in Mac, if operating system 18 or 26, they've skipped over so that the operating systems align with the actual year. So if you can't run operating system 18 or 26 on your MacBook, do not use it for banking because it's not safe. If your iPad can no longer update and you just like, oh, no, it still works, well, don't use it. Don't use it for banking, because those security updates are important to keep your information and data safe. If you have a Google phone, or I call it Google phone, Android, Samsung, I can't remember the model name, but essentially if you haven't been able to update your phone for over like 2 years, get a new phone, because the banks can't essentially keep your information safe. And as I mentioned earlier, if you are doing banking on your devices, which we all do, make sure you put in as much of the like two-factor authentication levels of security that they will allow on your bank. And this is because, yeah, we don't necessarily always know how our data is being leaked, but keeping your device up to date is one of the best ways that we can help keep our data safe. Next tip is also financial related. Digital wallets like Apple Pay, Google Pay, where you can use your phone or your watch. They're actually safer than handing a physical card to someone now. They take like a transaction ID unique for that transaction, along with sort of part of your credit card, and give it to the vendor wherever you're purchasing, and it helps keep your data safe. I am not, a financial tech cybersecurity person, but I know people that work in this, and I'm learning all the time. They also agree that using like tap to pay is safer than sticking your card in for the chip, or literally handing your card to a server at a restaurant. But sometimes that's just how it is. So we're kind of in the mode where, of course, we always have to be safe. Sometimes there are scams always around something. Sometimes there are scams around these things as well. But we do know that taking your phone, pressing twice on the side if you have it set up. This is now my wallet. My wallet is here. Here's my credit card. I hold it next to, say, a Giant, pay for my groceries that way. It's very safe. And you don't have to physically carry your cards around. Switching to the next tip, your voice is your superpower. If you use a voice assistant, if it's Alexa, if it's a pod, or if you use Siri, which will wake up all my devices if I say that, our friend, that can do so much for you. Not only is it just a convenience, like set a reminder or call someone, but if you are not able to get up quickly and you hear your phone ring and it's on the other side of the room, the last thing we want you to do is get up and run over there and hurt yourself on the way to answering the phone. You can just use your voice, say, hey, I'm just going to say friend, so all my devices don't wake up. Hey, friend, answer the phone. Or if you have a situation where you have fallen and you need someone, you can use your voice, call out and say, hey, friend, call emergency services or call my friend. So for an emergency purposes alone, setting up that Siri on your phone is helpful. I know that, wait, hold on, I gotta turn off her.
Siri, I'm not your iPad.
Yeah, there she goes. So it's not perfect situation, but in that, my voice imprint woke up other people's devices, and I know that some people have concerns about having their voice recorded in Siri, but I think the benefits outweigh the fears at this point, because I've seen situations where people should have used their voice to help themselves, and they didn't even have Siri set up, and it really could have helped them. So just there are settings in your phones and your devices where you can you'll have to basically train it to learn your voice, and then rather than, if you're having a day where your eyes hurt, you can use your voice to type. You can use your voice to control your device. It's really a superpower at this point. Undo. That exists almost anywhere on your phone. A lot of people have a fear of technology. None of you seem to, which is great. But most things that you do on your phone, you can undo them. You could, actually shake your phone as an undo if you did something and that undoes it. What that means is reverse back to this last step. So try new things. Don't worry. Look for undo, or look for if you accidentally threw something out. There's usually a recycling bin, or recently deleted, it's called, to put it back where you found it. So keep trying things, and there are ways built into your devices so that if you do something you didn't mean to, you can undo it. And those were some tips on being more tech wise. I know I went through a lot of those fast, but generally I'll let you look at this as well. But I have, like I said, 30 or so different lessons that I teach. These hit just a very few of my nerdy knowledge that I share, but essentially, I love to teach. I love to help people solve their problems. I'm still probably going to be thinking about that Apple TV app thing until that's resolved, because I'm sure there's an answer for that. But I have a newsletter. I know that you can do it. Well, you can do the QR code. I send out a newsletter. I should do it more often, but about once a month. And usually it just has my upcoming group class schedules and some tips. For if you sign up today for my newsletter, I am going to send something out in the next week or so, because I'm going to be adding some more classes in Arlington in the next couple, well, the schedule's coming out in the next week or so. If you sign up today for my newsletter, I'm giving everyone in the group 10% off of my, if you join the class, or if you need an individual session, I'll put that in the text too, if you want. And like I said, I have one-on-one coaching availability. These are some things that some of my clients have said recently. And yeah, I just love to help people with their technology. I love to learn about technology, find solutions that meet your needs, and share. I'm just going to close this because we don't really need it, open it up to questions that you might have.
Amy, thank you so much. This was all really helpful stuff. I want to tell the quickest story, and this is all about your slide of don't unsubscribe and don't stop to spammy things. My spouse did that. She sent an unsubscribe email to one of these, and it unleashed a torrent of .ru and other spam things. So right now I'm struggling. This is through a Gmail app that she, on the Apple thing, but I'm going into her Gmail and trying to make rules, to delete these things before it ever gets to her mail. The good thing about mail is it treats all these as junk, but she's freaked out by having all these junk messages.
Yeah, it's once they realize that there's a live person behind there, if you said stop or unsubscribe, yeah, it just kind of replicates. It's viral, literally. But yeah, and there is that unsubscribe. If in Google Mail, if you have these features turned on, there's a manage subscription button. But yeah, you just kind of have to keep at it. But I have seen people where they thought they were subscribing to something real, and then it ended up being malware. And I don't know. I used to work at AOL, and I always say, hasn't been the same since I left. Like her AOL email was acting really weird because this malware essentially put any new mail straight into the trash. Yeah, and it was just an annoying loop. So yeah, just you see something, just delete it. Don't even bother saying take me off your list. Just delete it.
Let's go to Gabe. Go ahead, Gabe.
Thanks, Amy. Great presentation. A couple of very short tips. One is going back to making your device secure. Turn on advanced data protection, which is an Apple feature. You may have to jump through some hoops because in order to turn it on, all of your devices have to be the right hardware level and the right operating system level. And I had to remove one device, actually the Mac that Jonathan loaned me on forever loan, just so I would have a Mac in the house in case of an emergency. But that's so old that I had to remove it from my account to turn on advanced data protection. Within the last day or so, Aaron sent a note saying that Apple devices, iPad and iPhone, had been approved for security information by NATO. And it had already been approved by some other countries. And so I think that's a pretty profound endorsement of Apple's provision of security, the fact that NATO is allowing it to be used for classified information. Two other things you can get from your watch. I wear my watch 24 hours a day minus the time that I'm in the shower when I'm charging the watch. Two things you can get from it. One is an alert, a warning, if you have atrial fibrillation. I have not had that, but I've heard a couple of different stories from people.
Wait.
Yeah.
I heard a couple of different stories from people who were awakened by their watch in the middle of the night. They had no idea that they had AFib. They went to the hospital and were told, yes, you have AFib. And in one of the cases, they were told this may have saved your life, getting you up in the middle of the night and going to the hospital. The other thing is that lately I've turned on very detailed sleep tracking. And so every morning I get a grade on the quality of my sleep based on three criteria. Did I go to sleep close to my assigned bedtime? Did I get enough sleep? And did I wake up too many times? And in the last couple of days, the watch has been congratulating me on having very high quality sleep rated in the high 80s or 90s. And so that's because I've stopped going to sleep at 2 or 3 in the morning. And my watch is very proud of me for doing that. And the last thing I'll say is going back to your early introduction before you got to the tips. One of the things that I tell people is that in-person meetings, the kind of meetings that ThePi has and another local group has, in-person meetings give you benefits that cannot be gotten from online meetings. In terms of my having been given stuff that I really could use and other people didn't need anymore, making friends, and just having the kind of contacts from repeated face-to-face interactions that you just don't get from the internet. And so a lot of people say, why do I need a user group? Why do I need in-person meetings? And the answer is because online does not completely replace human face-to-face interaction.
That's true. That's a great point there. I would agree. Yeah, the social aspect is important. We learn from each other as well as the teacher, but also getting out there and being part of the world outside. That actually reminds me of another series of classes I teach is the technology for your independence. Like a lot of people feel like I'm going to see a QR code out in the real world and I'm not going to be able to pay for parking or see the menu. So I'm just not going to go. Well, you got to learn some of this technology in order to get yourself out there and be, in real life. I do love the sleep score point you made too, because if you have a good sleep score, you sleep well, you trust your device that it's tracking you, then you have a good day and you can think more clearly throughout the day and make better choices if it's, spam coming at you or, whatever it is throughout the day. Sleeping is a good thing. Another security thing I didn't talk about, but It's been in the news lately. Apple has this lockdown mode, which on phones too, which is another level of security that a Washington Post reporter had their phone in that mode, and it disallowed the FBI from finding information on her phone. So there are different levels of security, and Apple definitely has, some, I think
Thanks,
the
Amy.
best.
Let's go to Bruce next, and then Mark, and then Cheryl.
Okay, I just wanted to add one brief comment that some of you may be interested in. My wife and I both wear Apple Watches. We're on at least our second watch each since we first started using them. And not too long ago, my wife, during the daytime, not the middle of the night, started getting alerts on her Apple Watch saying she had AFib. And she had no other symptoms, never had that diagnosed by a doctor or anybody before. And so we first thought, well, she seems okay. Let's wait. Let's give it a little time and see if it's a false positive, a false alarm or something. So we did that. It kept happening. So finally we decided, we should get this checked out. What if it's correct, So we went to the ER here, not too far away. We drove to the ER, went in, and the first thing they did, of course, was hook her up to their monitor that checks for things like AFib. And lo and behold, it said she had AFib. So after that, she started getting treatment for it, and everything is fine. But I just want to confirm one more data point that the watch does most of the time know what it's doing. And it's a wonderful thing, It will also, as someone pointed out, it detects falls. Sometimes it's possible to get a false positive on a fall detect, but it's always got that choice to cancel it. So if it does that, you can easily cancel it. I don't think I get more than maybe at the most one or two false positive fall detections per year. And I can live with that easily for the possibility that it might detect a serious fall. That's all I wanted to add, unless somebody's got a comment or question about it.
And I
Thank
see
you,
that
Bruce.
I see that Mark put something in the chat. I wanted to add on skimmers, unless Mark was going to talk about this, but going back to like using our credit cards in public places. I know we're switching subjects around a lot, but yes, we do have to be aware of skimmers.
Talk to that for a minute. So there's
Yeah.
two kinds of, there's skimmers like the fake card readers they put on devices. That's not the kind I'm talking about. That's one kind of it. They also have just an RF receiver nearby, and the tap to pay, it picks up the signal and copies the information from the tap to pay. So the tap to pay really isn't secure. The insert the card using the chip is more secure than the tap to pay. Or Apple Pay is actually the best because it generates a one-time use card number. So even it can intercept that data, but it's only usable for that one transaction that's already been processed. So the information doesn't do them any good. So that was my comment on skimmers.
I get it. So there's also something, we have to always be aware of what Wi-Fi connections we're connecting to. I mean, we could talk about a lot of different things, but adding levels of security out there, turn off our phones so they don't automatically connect to any Wi-Fi, because that's hacker world. Did we have other
Yeah, let's go to
questions?
Cheryl now. Cheryl, go ahead.
Oh, yes. While we have Amy, would you mind sharing your first slide that had all the points?
Sure.
That would be good. Like we can all
Yeah.
copy
Let me
it.
go back. I just closed it. Let me pull it back up. Do you mean the like 15 different tips that I share? Okay, sure. And then I do need to get going. I have another class I gotta leave for in like 10 minutes. let me put that on slideshow mode so you can actually read it.
There.
Yeah. So these are just some tips that I've learned and written along the way, but I should admit I used AI to make this because I had my, written out tips that I wrote. And then I can find myself spending way too much time designing slides and making things, and then realize 2 hours later, I'm like, just wasted a bunch of time. So I've been testing out the Gemini work for workplace. It's called Google's AI. And I had my list and I hit, 15 keys. And then I said, beautify the slide. And that's what it made. It's probably not exactly how I would design it because I would want older people. I don't necessarily want, I don't know, whatever, but it got the point across. So I was a little bit wowed by it took about 30 seconds for AI to make to design, the slide. But anyway, the points are there.
Wow. Thank you very much. It's a
Sure.
great thing. I want to refer to it all the time when I get mad at something.
Yes, please do. Thank you. Yeah. And yeah, I hope I hear from some of you or all of you. I'm lurking in your lists all the time and learning from you and seeing what you're talking about. I'll try to keep attending. And usually on Thursdays, I have other stuff going on, so I can't usually attend that. But and yeah, and hope you sign up for my newsletter. Hopefully see you in person sometime soon. I don't know, Jonathan, if you had anything else you wanted me to share or.
Well, actually, what I wanted to do was to thank you so much, Amy, for your presentation today. And it's wonderful that you won't be a stranger. We would like to send you a handsome pie mug in appreciation
Thank you.
for your presentation today. So at some point, could you just send me by any means your snail mail address?
Sure.
So we'll be able to do that.
Sure. And
we usually actually run a door prize for the meeting that for the members, but we'll do that after you take off.
Okay.
We don't have to do that now. Does anyone have any last comments or questions for Amy before we send her off to her next thing?
I appreciate you having me, and yes, you don't need to know everything is what I'll stop sharing my screen. But it's nice to be here today. Thank you for inviting me. We have one raised hand, Cheryl. I don't know.
No, I'm just going ahead.
Okay. All right.
you.
So move on to your next subject. Good luck with the Apple TV thing. I might think of something. All right. I'll talk to you. Thank you.
All righty. Well, I hope everybody enjoyed that. It had a lot to it, and doubtless some of the things that Amy touched on will want to, promote to spend more time on. Cheryl, go ahead.
Here I go. I just wondered if I'm doing the right thing. I'm trying to connect my old Mini to my Mac, my regular iMac, and I'm using Ethernet cable, I believe, and I can't do it. I don't know if it's the cable or if I just can't do it.
Bruce, can you help Cheryl?
What is it you're trying to do again, please?
Connect so I can remove all the information off the Mini and get it onto the
okay. So it's an old computer, new computer situation, right?
Well, it's old computer.
Well, okay, but you want to move it from one to the other? Well, if you hadn't started using the computer you plan to continue to use, if you hadn't started using it yet, I would say use the setup assistant or migration assistant to move everything from the old to the new, or from the one you're not planning to use to the one that you plan to continue to use. However, if you've been using that computer that you want to continue to use going forward, you could still do that, but it might cause some problems because you have data already there. And it probably won't delete that much, but some things might not work quite right. So, well, let me see. The one way to do this, it's not the best way,